Tanya Peluso here from Tribal Truth, talking to you today about something that I learned from Oprah. I watched her last episode, 25 years, and she had just so many amazing things that she taught. But the biggest thing that I got is the fact that she showed up every day. She did not miss a day in 25 years. Could you imagine that? And then we look at her, as this role model, as our teacher, and we wonder why she's as successful as she is. It's because she shows up. And they say that it's, 98% is simply showing up. The rest of it, is just getting there. And what I find is that this is so hard, especially in our culture, to honor our commitments, to show up. And a lot of times we make the excuse of, I don't feel like it. And we might even be physically ill and say, well, I'm sick, I can't make it. So I just wanted to address this because this really helped me stick with my commitment that I made to myself last week to do a 10-day cleanse. And I'm almost done, and it's been really difficult. I'm doing a Metagenics cleanse. So on day 5 through 7, I can only eat greens, apples, and pears. And that was the last thing I wanted to eat. I didn't feel like it, that's for sure. But I kept remembering through that time the Oprah show and what I learned from her around honoring the commitment. So I want to give you 4 different ways that I have found that help me honor my commitments and be there no matter what. Like really play it 100% and simply just show up and let the rest of it just unfold. So the first thing is to, before you make a commitment to anything, to really check in with yourself and ask yourself this question: is this commitment that I'm about to take on going to further my path and my purpose? Is it aligned with what I'm wanting to create in the world? Is it aligned with my purpose and my passion? And to check in. And if it's not, and you're doing it perhaps out of obligation to someone or because you think you have to or whatever it is, but you're not feeling that it's in alignment with what you're up to in the world, then simply say no. And that's where we create boundaries in our lives, is before we even take on the commitment, right? So if you don't know what your purpose is, you're not quite sure what that thing is that lights you up, well then start taking on commitments that will help you get in touch with that. Because that, what Oprah said, is why we're here. We're here simply to figure out what our individual purpose is so that we can make a difference on this planet, especially at this time with what's going on in the world. You can go to thetribaltruth.com where you can take the e-journey where we actually take you through the 4 P's of authenticity, starting with how you can find your purpose and your passion. So head on over there if you don't know what your purpose is, and hopefully those will be some tools to help you. Second thing is once you make a commitment to something or to a group, to continue to remember that you made this commitment to something bigger than yourself, and have that be that driving force to get you there, that it's not about you. And actually make a formal declaration to the group or to yourself, making it out loud because our words create our world, and say, I am going to show up 100% no matter what. And if you're working with people in a group setting, actually have them hold you accountable to do so. Say to them, I give you permission to call me out if I don't show up for my commitment. And then surrender to that. Allow them that contribution to you. That can be a really tricky one, is because sometimes we're not open to receive and to allow other people's contribution. The third thing is to look at when you do feel sick, or you do feel like you don't feel like it, or you do feel something coming up, that it's simply that. It's something coming up. It's resistance. It's your ego pushing back. And that's when you need to show up the most. And I've had this happen to me. Olga, who was on Blog Talk Radio last week, said, she showed up, she was sick, and we moved through it, and you could actually hear her energy be changing on the phone. Amazing call where we actually addressed exactly that. Because most of the time when you are physically ill, it's that you have something stuck that you're holding onto emotionally. And when you release that, it's amazing how quickly you'll start to feel better. And the fourth thing is make sure you put in the structures to support yourself in taking care of yourself so that you can honor your commitments. So if you know that you have a class that you're going to every Monday night, perhaps you need to make sure that you have about an hour beforehand so that you can eat, so that you can rest, whatever it is, and make sure that you're putting in that you time. Make sure you're putting in that nurture time for yourself, the exercise, the eating. Take care of you. Make sure that you're scheduling that in. Make that commitment to yourself so that you can show up as your best self for all the commitments that you made. So this could be a very confronting conversation for you, and I invite you to use this blog below, use the comments below to talk about what's coming up for you. Where might you be struggling? Which one of the 4 ways that I just shared with you could help you the most? And tell us what your purpose is. What's that driving force that you are using to honor your commitments? Can't wait to hear from you. Namaste. Whoa.